everybody. My name is Sorrel Spina, and I'm gonna talk a little plant profile today on one of my favorite plants that I like. The plant name I will show you is this guy right here. Behold, the one, the only, the legendary Pseudotsuga menziesii. And you may ask, what the heck is a Pseudotsuga menziesii? What language are you speaking? That doesn't make any sense. And I will answer to you. No worries. Pseudo means fake, Suga means hemlock, and menziesii is some guy from Scotland from the 1790s, Archibald Menziesii, and he was some old naturalist guy. But you probably know this tree by the name Douglas Fir. And we know it's a Douglas fir for a few reasons. One thing is that a Douglas fir is not actually a real fir. It's a Pseudotsuga, which is a small group of trees that only have, I think, about 3 of them in there. There's the Doug fir, the Oregon pine, and I think there's like a Oregon spruce or something, and none of those are actually real spruces or real pines. They're their own little category. And you can tell that they're Douglas firs because one of the first things you can use is... Oh no. Where did all my little... Oh, here we are. Is looking at their needles. So as you can see, the needles kind of whirl around, unlike where you would see in... Let's see, here's another example of that. See the way that the needles are all kind of... just kind of spot here and there wherever it works. Very helter-skeltery. And you can compare that to something like this, which is a true fir. And notice that in a true fir, the needles are much more uniform. They almost kind of come out from the same spot in a little hockey puck pattern. And one of the biggest things is that in true firs, the cones point straight up. In a Douglas fir, the cones kind of look like pine cones. They point down, and they have these little adder's tongues, these little teeth that stick off of them. And that actually helps them, because each of these teeth is connected to a seed, so it can help float it down and disperse the seeds a little more. Douglas firs are amazing at seed dispersals. In fact, they can easily outcompete other species of trees, firs, spruces, and the like. But they are not all powerful. Here's another comparison to another common tree you might find near them, the coast redwood, Sequoia sempervirens. It's all coming out of the same central point, flat, opposite leaves, very different from the Doug fir. But the Doug fir is not immune. They have many diseases that affect them. One of the worst ones you can actually find is very common, the Dyer's polypore. This is a species of fungus that grows around the base of Douglas fir trees, and it essentially eats them alive. It eats them from the roots, and then they'll fall over while they're still green. It's one of actually the really most difficult things when you're dealing with trees, is you'll find a perfectly green, otherwise healthy tree, and you'll find a conch like this growing on the ground, and you're like, oh shoot, this is a dead tree standing. But that's a fun little thing. So, the Douglas fir is the official state tree of Oregon. It's one of their favorite trees out there. It has a very, very broad range. Its range goes all the way from the Pacific coast to the Rocky Mountains, and then down to Mexico. But there's actually 3 different variations. For example, this one right here that I'm looking at is the, Ver menziesii. So, Pseudotsuga menziesii, Ver menziesii, and that is the coast one. And these ones can live up to 1,000 years, usually only about 500 though. And they can grow over 200 feet tall, because they have sort of a similar survival strategy as redwood trees. They'll kind of sit up, they get way above all the other trees, and they kind of create their own weather by catching fog and clouds and knocking them back down to the lower levels. It's so cool when you see it, because you'll be somewhere and it'll be like really hot and dry, and then you head up in the mountains and it's literally... Nobody call me. Don't call me right now. I'm in the middle of a video. And they'll do stuff like that, and it's so, so cool. But anyways, that's a little bit of a fact on the Douglas fir. Let me know if you want to know any more information about the species or anything. And that's it for now. Bye, everybody!